Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to this week's Gift of Healing TV and our first birthday. So I'm so pleased you've been able to join us. Unfortunately, we don't appear to have been joined at the moment by one of our guests, but I'm sure that he will appear because we've had things like this happen before, so I'm getting fairly used to it after a year. But I am delighted to welcome our two other guests who we have with us at the moment, and we've been having a bit of a laugh before we've gone live because I'm struggling with the pronunciation of Manuela's surname. And so I'm said, oh, I'm going to call you Manuela, and we're going to leave it at that. So let me start by introducing Manuela to you. Manuela is 53 years old and lives in Ireland. She's the teeth need putting back in. Sorry, folks. She worked 22 years as a trained nurse in Germany until she decided to live her dream when she came to Ireland 2004 to open a bakery. Her varied background made her passionate about helping people to live a more healthy life. In 2014, she qualified as a life, well-being and business coach. She hosts Soul Signature Women's Retreats on the west coast of Ireland. The retreats are for women to experience a holistic approach to care for their well-being. They leave inspired to continue their personal journey to find peace, clarity, and inspiration. Her house, Kenmare River Retreat, is an oasis of calm near the Atlantic Ocean and invites people with special eating requirements like celiac disease or wheat intolerance to just relax and be whilst enjoying the benefits of delicious food. Manuela, welcome to the program. And I know how to say celiac because my sister's one, so that helps. I'm not the best of readers, I apologise, folks. Manuela, welcome to the programme. Please, I've just had an email from Rhys, a note from Rhys. Manuela, please, will you share just a little bit about your story so that people get to know a little about you, and I'm going to try and get an email off to Rhys so that he can join us. Over to you, Manuela.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me on the panel. My second name is Goeb. It's very difficult to pronounce this, but I decided in my mid-40s to turn my life around and live my dream. And I just want to encourage everybody who's listening to this program to live their dreams, to just listen to their heart. I went to all these fears and uncertainties in my life to live my dream, and I just want people to be determined about what they want and listen to their heart, and just don't listen to this word can't. When people tell you you can't do this. I rocked the boat in my family. My father wasn't talking to me for nearly a year when I moved to Ireland, but your real friends come back, and they came back, and he came back as well. He was very delighted and proud, and this builds up your self-confidence, and you can live your dream.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Manuela. I do apologise, folks. I've just been sort of trying to sort out the email to Rhys, so hopefully, bless him, he will receive that. And let me just put it, he's obviously got into the program one way but not the right way, so I do apologise, and I will be with you in a minute. Eileen, I really will. Actually, Eileen, let me introduce you, then you can, oh, wrong one, sorry folks, I have these written down. It's going to be one of those evenings tonight, and I love it. I love it. Eileen Burns. Eileen teaches clients and therapists powerful skills on how to let go of anxiety and stress through various combination approaches of stress management disciplines, meditation, relaxation therapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, for those who don't understand CBT, and healing. She is an advanced stress advisor, life coach, and CBT therapist at university level, a meditation and relaxation therapist and principal of Stress Coach Training School. Eileen, who is also a Reiki master, began her journey into healing when she began studying Reiki 23 years ago, longer than I've been doing it, whilst chronically ill and largely housebound in her early 20s. She has been studying meditation, stress management, and healing for 20 years and has been teaching meditation and stress management to all ages and sectors for over 13 years. Eileen, welcome to the programme, and thank you for your patience too. And Rhys, you've joined us. Your mic's off. Please welcome. And Eileen's going to introduce herself, and then we will come to you.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Sarah. Well, as Sarah said, my story is that I became very unwell from the age of 19. By the time I was 21, 22, I was diagnosed with ME, and I became very seriously ill, mostly housebound in most of my 20s. But during that time, I tried to study as many things as I could and tried to empower myself. I was dealing with an illness that at that point no one believed in. There was no treatment, no support, so a lot of I felt very disempowered. I felt undervalued, so a lot of my work is about empowering people, empowering myself, and that's my journey.
Brilliant, thank you very much indeed. Rhys, I think your mic is off, so if you want to turn it on, I'm going to introduce you, and then I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about yourself. And welcome, I'm pleased to have you with us.
Yes, hi, sorry about that.
It's okay, that's okay.
Is my mic working now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, okay. That's right. Brilliant. Okay. So our third guest, who's gratefully joined us, is Rhys Morton-Ross. After spending almost 20 years in sales and marketing, working in various industries around the world, in 2010, Rhys planned, organised and led a charity youth expedition to Everest Base Camp. It was after that experience that he decided to devote the rest of his life to creating environments to do something he was absolutely passionate about that would be of great value in helping, inspiring and empowering others to discover not only their own life purpose and passion, but also to awaken people to the world they live in. Rhys is currently working on a program that will help people to identify their true heart-centered life purpose and passion, and what to do once they have found it. His program is called DREAM, Destiny Revealing, Empowering, Awakening Master Plan. Rhys, welcome to the program.
Hi there. Great to see you both, and well, everyone on the panel, and all our guests this evening. So sorry for the confusion. I couldn't locate the emails to come on and log on. So thanks for that. Thanks for sending it to me. So do you want me to do a quick intro about me?
If you just share a little your story, that would be brilliant. You know, so we said we're trying to get people to keep it to 2 minutes so we can share lots. So that'd be brilliant, please. I'll
try and keep it condensed. As Sarah said, I was in sales and marketing for 20 years, and predominantly in sales. That took me to different parts of the world. Most of my time was spent in Southeast Asia, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where I was involved in sales, predominantly as a stockbroker. And I know what it's like to kind of do a job which is not really something you're really passionate about. So I kind of left that, returned to the UK, and I took some time out, and it was the result, and after doing the youth expedition and seeing how much that one experience impacted on a lot of the youngsters, their lives, and one in particular guy, he had actually qualified from film school, and he was doing a lot of the filming of the trip. But it was actually after that trip that he realized that it wasn't his life, it wasn't his calling, it wasn't something he was really, really passionate about. And he left his business and ended up becoming an English teacher. And it was because of that, and having gone back to all the youth team and found out how the trip had impacted them and actually empowered them, that I started to realise and think, you know, this is my passion, because it was seeing the effect that one trip impacted on the team, that it made me realise that I felt that was my life calling. I got so much of a reward from that, to see how it impacted on them and got them to really sort of take a look at their own life, and they made changes to it, because it just wasn't in alignment with their life values. They weren't passionate about it, and it got them to sort of look at themselves and do it. So that's kind of what I'm now focusing on, and looking to create an online program to get people to find their life purpose and work towards in building that into their life.
Brilliant, thank you. And folks, you've heard from our guests, and the same goes for myself. We've all found ourselves in positions doing things that haven't felt right to us, haven't empowered us, and we've taken, if you like, control of our own lives. We've allowed ourselves to empower ourselves. So if you'd like to let us know you're with us, if you've got any questions for our guests, please feel free to ask them, because we're here to help and support you, and to help you realize that it doesn't matter where you are in your life at the moment. If there's something you want to change and do, you should do it. And so I think one of the first things is this word no. We should all learn to say no. I'm going to come back to no later, probably in a different way, but let's come to you first, Eileen, because I'm going to mix this around with who I come to, but I'm going to come to you all on each one. No. If you could share how it first felt to you when you realized that you could say no to people, how it felt saying no, because I know we feel guilty for saying no to people. So if you could sort of share something about the word no, it would be lovely, because I think that's what everybody needs to learn to be able to say. So Eileen, to you first.
Okay. Well, to be honest here, it was something I always struggled with. Now, because I started living with a chronic illness, I had to start, and a lot of the reasons, I had to say no. But to be honest, it probably, up to the last 3 years, I realised I wasn't saying no enough, because I wasn't saying yes to myself. And I know this is what this programme's about. And I think on a very deep level, I didn't realise how much that I wasn't saying no. And I think, to be quite honest, that's one of the reasons why I get ill in the first place. And I think that's one of the things that keeps us disempowered, is we sometimes become people pleasers. And at first it can be hard to say no, but I think once you realise that it's so important for you and to empower you, and for you that you are enough, that you are valuable just the way you are, and just as important as that person, I think that's when you realise it becomes a lot easier. But that's something I have to say that I still work with, even though I teach my clients. I think, we sometimes can fall into patterns, but obviously it's about saying no a lot more.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, and we all have to learn. This is why I think it's great for people to be able to hear from all of us that we haven't found it easy either. So, Rhys, if I come to you next.
Sure. I think sort of looking at my own experiences of the things that I've done, and I guess it goes back to my past and the things that I was doing. I wasn't really being true to myself, and for me at the time, it was success. I measured success purely by how much money I could make. So I was really sort of doing careers and jobs which were focused on that, even though it wasn't really what I wanted to be doing, and it wasn't in alignment with my passions and my interest. It was purely based on the money aspect of things. So I was kind of saying no to my passion area, but saying yes to the wrong things. And even people who would come to me with a business opportunity, I was something of a yes man. So because any opportunity, I would say yes to it, because I saw another opportunity for me to make some more money, and rather than say no, because I just felt that if I say no all the time, I'm going to miss out on something, where it was the complete opposite. The fact that I was saying no and getting involved in something else was just another way of detracting me and steering me away from what I should actually be doing and really sort of following my life passion and purpose. So I think you've really got to sort of take a step back and really understand your life values, what you're passionate about, what excites you, what your interests are, and only say yes to opportunities and interests which are in alignment with that, and just say no to the ones that aren't. And once you start doing that, I think you'll find your life kind of takes on a much easier process, because you're going with the flow as opposed to swimming, or going with the tide as opposed to swimming against it. So I kind of think you really have to say no to things, because it's a very positive thing to say. People attach a negativity to saying no, but it actually can be a very positive step forward. So that's kind of all I have to say towards that at the moment.
Absolutely. But, yeah. Thank you. And Manuela.
I think it was just, I was a people pleaser myself. All these years when I was working in a job I really didn't like, I always wanted to do something different. But then I didn't have a big choice when I was looking for a job. See, I always wanted to study as a vet, but my parents wouldn't allow this. So what would I do when I finished school? I choose the nursing job, which would come closest to this kind of helping syndrome, what we women develop, and not being able to say no, actually. So and then I did this for years and years, but I deep down felt this is not my calling. And then I was once on holidays in this fabulous country island. And I fell in love with this country and said, this is my country and this is what I want to do and this is where I want to live in. And then I thought, what would I miss most? And this was actually bread coming from Germany. So I trained as a baker and I felt this felt right. And then the moment came when I had to say no to my family, to my friends, to all what I left behind. And then you have to be prepared. People feel rejected. They feel my father was so sad he wouldn't talk to me anymore. So it was just all this hurt, but you have to prepare to face all of this, and just still go this way you want to go and what you want to live, where your passion is. And when you're 90 years old and you look back in your life, you don't want to say, what if? What would have happened if I would have gone to Ireland, if I would have stayed in Germany, So it's just about, you have only one life, you have to put up boundaries, and boundaries are there to protect yourself. It's not to hurt anybody. It's just to say and be true to yourself and live what really your heart desires.
Absolutely, absolutely. And all of you have raised such valid points. I've heard recently, N-O, new opportunities. And I love that. I think that is so brilliant. So sharing no from a different perspective for a minute, how do you feel when someone says no to you? Because when we step into our power and we learn to say no to others, what we have to realize is that we have to learn to hear no for ourselves. And I think this is where the NO, the new opportunities, for me comes in, is experiencing no, and then another way of dealing with that without becoming selfish. And maybe we'll come back to the word selfish, maybe we'll deal with it now. Let's see what happens. Rhys, let's come to you first this time.
Yeah, I mean, being in the sales, coming from a sales environment, and you tend to hear no quite a lot. initially when I first started hearing no, you kind of take it personally because you kind of think someone is saying no to you, so you kind of take it from on a personal level. Whereas how I managed to deal with that, and I had my mentor who taught me this, is a very simple way of handling no's, especially from a sales environment. But you can also apply this to your own life, because as you said, Sarah, no just means new opportunities, and that is the best way to look at it. You know, if someone says no to you, there's always going to be other opportunities. But for me, how I kind of managed to deal with no's from the industry as I was in, especially as a stockbroker, or I was on the phone for, all day, is that every no leads you closer to your next sale. But how we managed to deal with that is, I know we're not on the topic of sales, but how I managed to deal with handling a no was that I would total my monthly earnings, and then I would calculate how many calls I was making a day, and then I would total the amount of calls I'm making a month. Then I would divide my monthly earnings by the number of calls I'm making, and that would give me how much money I was making per phone call. So if it equated to that my average per phone call was $5.40, I knew that every time I picked up that phone, it was a bonus. It was not a negative if someone said no to me, because I was always making money. However, whenever I picked up the phone, so that was that really flipped that on its head, from me taking no's personally to seeing it's actually a good thing, because I'm attaching positivity to it. I'm just handling it in a very different way, and we can attach that to our own lives in a non-sales environment, because there's always going to be opportunities for us. Opportunities, they never end. There's always opportunities. Your mind just has to be open to it, and you have to be receptive to it, and new opportunities will always come. So there's no fear that you're saying no to an opportunity and never going to get one again. They're always there.
Brilliant. And I love the fact that we're all coming from different perspectives. We've had different life experiences, and therefore we can tell it from a different perspective. We may all be saying the same thing, but we're saying it a different way that hopefully everybody who watches this, one of what we're saying is going to make huge sense to them. So let's come back to you, Manuela.
I think when somebody says no to you, this only shows that this person is actually empowered. They know what they want. They stand their grounds and said, I have my boundaries, I go so far, and I value this, and I'll really, I like this. Rather than a person always saying yes, the head says yes, but the heart says no. That's a very unhealthy way to do. So you stick with your no if you feel no, and I appreciate if people say no, and they have a reason they do this, and I have a reason when I have to say no. And that's, I think that's the best way to look at this. And a person who says no, they just know what is good for them. They are already empowered in their lives.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Eileen.
Well, I think I'd come from a different angle, Sarah, because probably early on I felt as if people were saying no to me all the time. Lack of support, medical treatment and things like that. So probably at first I found that very difficult, but on hindsight I now look at it that what was happening, I was being given a bigger opportunity to tackle my life in a different way, and it led me down a different path. So even though no can come in different ways, for me a lot of no's that I felt were negative at the time have actually empowered me, because they've helped me be more self-reliant or look at other ways. And if these things hadn't happened to me at the beginning, I wouldn't have gone down the holistic route. I wouldn't have been where I was now. So that's the way that I would look at that. Okay.
So we're all saying that no is amazingly empowering if you hear it. So it's not just the saying of no that is empowering, but it's the receiving a no that is empowering. It's new opportunities, it's turn around, stop knocking at that door, new doors are opening for you, new opportunities are there for you. If only you will turn around and listen to them and open to them. Fairly recently, this saying no to people, and people turning round to you and saying, that's selfish. And I know what came to me, and I think I may have shared it with all three of you, but I know what came to me with that immediate, hang on, I'm not being selfish. But I'd love your comment, because I think it's really important that people, if somebody says that to you when you say no, that you have another way of thinking about anybody who makes that comment to you, because they're hearing no and they're not in the same place that you may be if you hear a no. So if somebody was to say to you, what is your feeling on that word selfish? Okay, and Manuela, if we come back to you first this time.
I think it wouldn't be my problem if somebody says I would be selfish. This is the other person's problem, more or less. You know, because they're probably hurt, or they probably feel rejected if I don't want to do this. But I think it's not my. It's not. I can handle this, or I can take a selfish. But I would explain to this person that that I don't want to hurt them, but it's just not. You can really describe it nicely and tell them you just can't do it for whatever reason. But I think it's this person's problem. You know, they need to get empowered to take this. You know, and don't feel rejected, and don't feel that they feel hurt or something. So that's more or less, they have to work on this little issue. Actually.
Absolutely. Eileen?
I think I have to agree with Manuela. I think, yes, it's that person's issue, child. And I mean, again, I would say that I was someone who never wanted anyone to think I was selfish. But the last few years, I had an incident where I nearly died in hospital, and it kind of really, a few things happened that really made me look at things differently. And I realised how much important that we do say no. And I think if people see that, I don't think it deeply affects me as much now. I think I recognise that it is so important that you do for you first. I don't always get it right, but I'm getting there. But I think, you know, it's recognising it, as Manuela said, it's their own heart, their understanding and their perspective on it, and it's their own issues that's coming up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rhys?
Yeah, again, I agree with Manuela with regards to when someone says you're being selfish, if you know on the basis that you've said no to them, that's kind of a reflection of themselves. But you know, I've never come across, I've never sort of had much of that kind of said to me. If I've said no to someone, they kind of accept the answer. So I think also if someone says you're being selfish, then they're kind of being disrespectful of and not respecting your decision. You know, so the fact that they're saying that is just showing a level of disrespect, that they're just not happy to accept your answer. So I kind of think, you know, to me, I only attach meaning to it if by them saying that, I don't attach any meaning to it. You know, it's more a reflection of themselves, and it's kind of just a reaction for them because they're not happy with your decision. But I just don't take things personally like that. As I said, it's more of an issue with them and just being disrespectful of your decision, and they're just unwillingness to accept your response. So yeah, I just water off a duck's back. That's kind of how I sort of run with it, really.
But I think what you've shared is brilliant, all of you, because I think it's important for those people that are thinking, I've got to learn to say no more, and they're going to get reactions like you're being selfish, and that if they're still feeling very insecure about that, listening to what you've shared, it may feel very natural to us most of the time, because I still think we have that humanness about us, that there are occasions when we feel exactly the same as everybody else, but then we pull ourselves up to a certain degree, and it's just like, actually, do you know what? This is fine. It's not right for them. or it's not right for me, if I've said no to them, if they've said no to me, it's perfect as it is. And it's learning to say the no. And I think this takes me then on to, I know you've used the yes a little bit already, Rhys, but this takes me on to the yes. And it's not the yes, of course we're going to be saying yes to others occasionally when we're thinking, I know it's right to say yes. I may not want to do it, but I absolutely know it's totally the right thing to do for the circumstances that there are. But most of the time, we should be saying yes to ourselves. And I think that the no's empowering, and they're obviously the opposite to the no to someone else is the yes to ourselves. And so, yes to self. How does it feel to say yes to yourself? I'll come back to you, Rhys.
Yeah. Again, it's when you say no to someone. But by saying no to someone, you're actually saying yes to yourself. Because it's a decision that you're making because it's not right for you, but equally you're making the decision because it wouldn't be right for them as well. So you're actually saying yes to yourself, but also to the other person, because what you're actually saying is, it's not right for me to do this, and if I was to say yes to you, it's not going to be right for you as well, because there's going to be some conflict or whatever. It's just not the right time for me to do that. So saying no is also saying yes to yourself. But again, it's just being true to your own life journey and that of the other person's, and it's just that mutual respect that you're showing for the other person and them showing that respect for you. But again, it all comes back to that you're basing the things that you want to do in your life based with your life values, and if again it all comes back to, if it's not in alignment with you as a person, with your values, your beliefs, then you're not being true to yourself. So it's the no's also keeps you saying yes to yourself, and equally when you do say yes to people, then obviously that's a very empowering thing as well. So it's just remaining true to yourself, because by being true to yourself, you're being true to the other person, and that's the best way I can kind of describe it.
Perfect. Manuela.
I think it's pretty much egoistic from when somebody expects me to say yes to him, or it's not accepting a no. It's very egoistic. On the other hand, he expects me to be like he wants me to be. So that's very selfish, I guess, from this person who is not accepting a no. But I think to set up really healthy boundaries and saying yes to yourself, what's really fulfilling your heart and what's your truth. As I said, when the head says yes and your heart says no, that's not good. So your heart should be always, and your intuition should be always the measure for you. And it's your life. Nobody is living your life anyway. So everybody has a different perspective on life and dreams and whatever they want to live. So everybody is supposed to respect each other, I guess.
Absolutely. Eileen.
The same as what Manuela said. I think she said a vital part, the thing about your heart. I think when you're saying yes to your heart, that's the most important thing. And I think we get disempowered when we actually don't come from the heart. So I think that's the biggest thing. You have to say yes from the heart and what's right for you, because if you don't, you're not living your true life. And a lot of times we're living other people's lives, or we're keeping ourselves small.
Another thing I'd also to add on to that is again with what I'm now doing and what I've seen with people that I come across in networking events that I attend, and what I was also seeing with going back to when I was doing the youth expedition and taking them to Everest Base Camp, is what and seeing them return and completely doing a life change is, and I'm sure there's loads of people that are like it, is that they're doing a career or something which is not, it's not really what they want to be doing. So they're saying they're not being positive towards their own life direction, and they're saying no to following their true heart-centered life purpose and something they're really passionate about that resonates with them, because they're doing something which is mundane. They find it really hard to get up of a morning to do, because they're kind of saying no to following that passion, that spark, their North Star. And it amazes me how many people I encounter that is doing this every single day, month in, month out. And when I ask them, what is it you're passionate about? If money was no object, if there was nothing stopping you from following that big life purpose, that passion, that your yes, basically, what would it be? And they instantly know. Some need a bit of time to think about it, but they say, well, I would be doing this. And I say, so why aren't you doing that? Why are you saying no to this inner purpose of yours? And they just can't figure it, because to them the money is more important. I understand that we need to make a living, we need to earn money, that's a given. But I think I deeply believe that when someone's following their true calling and saying yes to themselves, that their life will take on a whole new impetus. It will go to a higher level. They'll find things will naturally happen. They'll attract the right people. And I know this because I've done that, and I've been doing it for 2 years. And it's amazing the people that I just, without any effort, that I just naturally connect with these people, and opportunities come. Whereas before I was always saying no to myself, and I was always hitting obstacles after obstacles, and I was always saying, why is this happening to me? Why is this always, I'm working hard, I'm doing this, but yet I'm hitting problems all the time. And it's because I was saying no to what I should be doing. And ever since that, going back, well, after the youth trips, that's 4 years now, and I started to do look at Inspiral with the purpose of empowering people to say yes to themselves and their dream and their life calling. Things have just started to take on a whole new kind of direction, and just a natural flow, and it's amazing. Sometimes I can't quite believe it sometimes. So I think that is also saying yes to yourself and being true to yourself, and just getting out of the things that are not right for you.
Absolutely. And I think what we have to realize is that while we're constantly saying yes to other people, we're not only holding ourselves back, but we're actually holding them back, because we're not allowing them to grow, and we're not allowing ourselves to grow. And we're coming close to the end of the program, but I feel that yeah, a lot of people, as you said, some people's reactions, they don't really know. I mean, I know I had it for quite a few years with my partner. He said, well, what do you want to do? I was working in insurance. It was, what do you want to do? I don't know. And then when it came to me, it was brilliant. But everything, I'm sure many people have heard this, everything is in divine and perfect order right now. You will find the people that are right for you when the time is right. So the people that are finding you, Rhys, the people that are finding you, Manuela, the people that are finding you, Eileen, and for all of you out there that are watching us live, that are being very quiet, but if you've got any questions, please ask. For those of you watching the replay and the YouTube video, you will find the right people, personal people, that will be able to guide you, that help you with the next step when it is right. But don't feel that what you're doing now is wasted, because it isn't. All the jobs that I had prior to becoming a therapist and doing this as well have totally given me information and given me knowledge that helps me to do what I do today. I couldn't do it without that. And so I'm not really going to, because this is about empowering self. It is about us all learning to say yes to our heart. And if you like, no to our head. Until our head can learn to actually work with our heart and come up with ways of how our heart choices can be made to happen. And occasionally the head will be right when it says, but, how about, and we can come up with other ways of doing what we want to do, or at least doing something. Nothing's ever wasted. So if I come back to Manuela first. Anything finally that you would like to share? So this is open to you now. Anything you would like to share with people, encouraging them to say yes to themselves?
I think life is a journey. You know, it's not about the destination. It's just a way. And to encourage everybody, when I had this dream to set up this bakery, I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the money. I had no idea how this worked. But it was my deepest wish. And all the way along, I met people on my way. They would support me. They would give me ideas. They would train me. And then I turned it around and I lived my dream. And I beg everybody, don't give up on your dreams, because life is too short to give up on your dream. And you can do it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Eileen?
I would say the same as Manuela. I think we're all unique, we're all individual. Everyone has a purpose, and we get too in our logic head. We think it should be a certain way, when if you follow your heart and what you really want to do, I think, as Rhys said, things can actually just happen. But the key is people get they think about the money worries and all the other things, the logic. But I see people come to me with so many health conditions because they're not doing what they're happy at. And I would say that's one of the biggest killers, when people are not being who they're meant to be. So I think it's so important that we've got to be who we are.
Brilliant, thank you. Rhys?
Yeah, definitely. I'd just take it what Eileen just said there with regards to people with problems. A very close friend of mine, Adam, he was a palliative care nurse, coronary care nurse, sorry, and for 17 years, and he encountered many people, and a lot of their health problems, especially associated with heart conditions, was actually all emotional based, vast majority of the time. And one of the biggest contributors to one of the biggest contributors to degenerative disease is actually emotional. But one of the top ones that Adam encountered over his 17 years as a coronary care nurse was that someone just not being true to themselves and not living the life that they felt they should have led. So they had inner regrets. Yeah. And I think what it is, I think everyone, they need to take the time, at least they must at least try and take the time to find out the one thing that they're really passionate about and that they resonate with. And you know, many people are quite fearful of taking that step, but I try and encourage people to just take a step. You don't have to run at it. It's not something you have to rush into. It's not something you have to do in a year. And I think in this day and age, we're under this kind of pressure and this outer influence that we have to do things quickly. And I think it's just a case of following your calling, your passion, and just do it bit by bit. There's no rush. It's as Manuela said, it's a journey. But I think you owe it to yourself to be true to yourself and your passion, and to follow up with it. Just do it. And that's the best advice I can give to people. And this is what I'm going to be kind of teaching in my programs and seminars and so on. So it's just to get people to take that step and just stop being fearful of, that you think it might fail, or what if I get laughed at because of my purpose or my dream. And that's the other thing. People are so afraid of being ridiculed and laughed at by friends and close relatives. And I just kind of say, to hell with them. Do it anyway, and just run with it, because if you don't do it, you'll just live to regret it.
Yeah, absolutely. Be true to you. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks, because in the majority of cases, people aren't thinking about you anyway. And if they are, they're being judgmental because actually they're jealous. You've had the courage to do what they haven't. So it's not about worrying about what other people think, because, as I said, the majority of them aren't. They've got so much going on in their own lives. They're not thinking about you anyway. And adverse comments are jealousy. So I really hope that folks, I mean, I know you've all kept quiet tonight, and guests gratefully haven't. Our viewers have all kept quiet tonight, but that's fine. I hope that it's learn to say no when no is required. Learn to say yes when yes is required. And learn to hear no as well. Learn to be true to yourself. Learn to know that no isn't negative. There is so much positive wrapped in a no. And sometimes no can be the best thing said to you. And so I hope that you will take something from this. You will find our guests' website, etc. details on the About Us page at the moment on the Gift of Healing TV website. I will make sure that those details all go under the YouTube video tomorrow so that you can connect with us all. If you've got questions for any of us that you would rather ask, and if you're watching the replay of the YouTube video, you want to ask questions, you can direct them to me, direct them to each of us. If you've got one for a specific person, but you want to send it via me, I'll forward it. Quite happy to do that. You can leave comments on the website as well. Please feel free to do that. I want to say a huge, huge thank you to our guests for our first birthday program. I've loved having you all here. Thank you so much. Thank you to Eileen, Manuela, and to Rhys.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you for the invitation. Pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for sharing so openly and so honestly. I hope that people have felt the genuineness within us all, that we've shared this because we care, because we understand, because we know what it's like to be there. So we can share with realism, because it is realistic within us all. So thank you. Next week we are being joined by Heather Eaton, and she's going to be sharing herbs for spiritual healing. So I'm looking forward to welcoming Heather onto the program. Thank you to all of you for watching, whether this is live, the YouTube video, whatever. Thank you for being with us. I hope this has helped you. Please feel free to ask questions. We hope we'll see you again next week, other weeks. And thank you again to Eileen, Manuela, and Rhys for being with us this week.
Thank you all.
Love to you all.
Bye.
Namaste.